the special world building session, which is completely unscheduled, but I'm just in the mood to do this. So for those of you who have not seen this before, that is true. Thank you. Apparently it's already off because I think that Templin stopped streaming. Can somebody confirm? Oh no, it is still squad mode. I have no idea how you turn that off. That's how. And done. Okay, so yes. This is a world that we have been creating for the last couple of weeks, and you can see here the world map up in the corner, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open this, because this just allows me to scroll around a little bit more easily. So here in the center is effectively the center of a bit of a magical disaster where one of the gods was killed. And as a result of that, there was a big explosion, which widened this inland, this lake into basically a sea. Tsunami blasted its way through here, allowing the regular ocean to connect into this inland sea, and also changed quite a lot of the nature of the territory around here. So at the time, this was populated by genies, or jinn-type people, basically people with super powerful magical abilities, like innate ones. But this magical catastrophe kicking off burned a lot of that magical power out of them. And those who were nearest to this were the humans, who now have basically no latent magical capabilities. Then we had the gnomes, who lived up here in the Shield Mountains. Now, the mountains did shield them from most of that. However, the magical energies which settled in the area could still mess with them. So they developed an innate resistance to magical energy, which is why they now have magical resistance. Then the guys that were up here, the furthest away from the center of the explosion, still have a little bit of latent magical energy, and they are now the elves. Then the other thing that we settled on were the halflings, who are going to be settled in this region here at the estuary of this river, and they're basically the result of interactions between the human populations and the gnomish populations. We may also add in Dragonborn, coming in over here, having come in from the east somewhere. And the dwarves. The dwarves are down here in the desert type area. This is a rain shadow where rain gets dumped just in front of the mountains, which is why this is also quite swampy, and then leaves a shadow behind. This region is a major trade route because a lot of the trade coming in from the east doesn't want to go through the swamps because there's a lot of trolls there. So actually the desert is the safest area. And this is now the Dwarven Homeland. We are in the process of smoothing out a lot of the terrain. So as you can see, like this area, it's a lot more homogeneous, a lot cleaner. That's what I'm trying to do to the rest. So this was a random generation, which we then kind of ticked through and ticked through and ticked through and ticked through until we found like a basis that we really liked. But the problem with that base system is it has a real thing for deserts for some reason. So even up here in the far north, where we're getting very close to the icy area, loads of deserts, because why not? And also just random mountains and volcanoes and stuff like up here. So all of that is something that we need to clear up. So there's this region that needs to be done. It's this region that needs to be done. And then this region over here, which also needs to be done. Now that does lead to another image that I created yesterday, which should help give a bit of a better idea about precisely who does what where, and that is this one. So I've created an overview to show the red areas which I have not worked on. We can see where the elves are, we can see where the Feywild is, right? That's the big forest where the magic which didn't dump itself on the mountains dumped itself in the Feywild, which is why the Feywild creatures are so magical in nature. We have the humans down here, so I'll probably also have humans settling along these regions. Part of the advantage the humans have is this area is just really fertile, which allows them to have very high populations compared to some of the others. We haven't done anything with these regions down here, like the back end of the Dwarven area, and then also the Archipelago, which is where I'm planning to settle the Orcs, and then over here, which is probably going to be more Orcs and Turtles. So that is a very rough overview of the setting at the moment for those of you who are new. Don't know what you think, but there are 2 volcanoes in the Dwarven Kingdom. Could be 2 industrial points. Use the lava, heat metal. Yeah, quite possibly. Volcano, and then there's a couple more down here, which I may or may not play with. Like these two, pretty, like that one especially. just super random. I'm thinking, oh, there was one up here which I actually quite... No, it was here. This one I quite like. But yeah, that's what we need to work on. I still feel like this is a little bit too random. So I'll probably play with that a bit more. Like these mountains should probably be a... Do I really like those mountains being there? I'm not convinced I do. No, you know what? It's fine. Because what there probably happens is a river empties into here, then the river comes through here and empties out into the main ocean. And another thing we do also need to do is add a lot more rivers than there are. We've added like the really major ones, but we could definitely do with some more. We also want to play a bit more with this territory where the humans are. This is still a little bit too chaotic for my taste. And up here, where the Elven Centre is, I was thinking of clearing out a bit more of this woodland. No, you know what? I'm going to keep the woods. It's fine. Ooh, what's this? This is us building a new world. World building. So where do I want to start? I kind of feel like I just want to clear this area up. So we haven't really decided what we're going to put back here. And it could well be that we just don't put anything back there for the short term. I'm going to open that one. See, this is still just completely unallocated. And then we also have this central thing. So what I was kind of thinking is some of the humans could have moved over here, fought the elves, and the elves being in not as fertile a region, just weren't as many of them, and then the humans basically just took this land. And we may also put some humans down here. Haven't decided. I mean, that's one of the things that will emerge during the simulation that I kind of want to run in how all of this develops. Okay, so yeah, I think we're going to start by filling a lot of this in. I'm quite happy this being really heavily forested as it currently is. So let's go back to the main program and zoom in over here. We can go to terrain and then classic. What part of the geography is conducive of the Dragonborn? Nothing really specifically Dragonborn. It's just that this is all like highlands and plateaus. And because the Dragonborn are invaders, this is effectively where they settled and fortified. And then they just stayed. So it's going to be very poor farmland, probably. But it's going to have decent sea connections to the ocean here, where they could then ship in more troops and people from further east, which is their actual homeland. I think I'm going to start working on this area. So we've got fairly dry land coming out there. All of this is fine. And then as we get a little bit further north, we need to clear this out. We definitely don't want this to be farmland. Like, farmland in this area I want to be relatively rare. Otherwise, why would the elves not have had a higher population? Maybe they didn't need it. Quite like the idea of this being a bit more forested. So let's go ahead and drop a couple of woods into that. And you know what? I think I might even just forest this whole low-lying country area, and then we're going to turn those hills into forested hills, going up into the mountain range up here. And then as we go a little bit further north, we can have that dry out and maybe have some shrubland. And then we can have just this little patch in the middle, which is not going to be that fertile. Shrubs. It's just a bit drier. I'm not going to make it full on desert, but it's a little further away. A little bit higher, I think, is the thing with this. And then we can also put shrub hills leading up to that. Then we can have dryness up here. And I think I might, you know what, that single mountain's fine. I'm just going to have another hill there. There are some mountains here, forested ones. And that's okay. We can add some more forest Because this area here is probably relatively sparsely populated. And then this bit in the middle... might actually just make that into more shrubland. So it has a bit of a mixture. Grassy hills, grassy hills, grassy hills. Then I think I might just stick another forest. There. Let's turn this into heavy woodland up that way. I don't like this being randomly forest. There's no real reason for it. I think I'm going to turn that into shrubland. We'll just have this whole area be shrubbing. Nice little central region. It's kind of dry. It's again rain shadow. It's behind the mountains. So up here we'll probably have rivers coming through. And then this area just doesn't get fed by anything. I might even expand it a little bit more. Make this whole area... well, I kind of like that it's woodland. Yeah, we'll keep that as a heavier forest. Can turn this into shrubs. Leading down into the nicer area, which is then going to be grazing land. With some drier hills. Make all of this grazing. All of that, all of that, all of that. Turn you into a forest. We'll turn this into forest as well, I think. You know what, we'll turn this into heavy forest. And then regular forest there. There as well. And then as we get closer to this area, I think it's going to start getting wetter. So again, we have woods there, but I think I might make this grassland. This whole sector. So if somebody did decide to settle back here, this would be a relatively okay area, though it is pretty far north. And then we'll turn this into grazing land again, because I don't really want deserts this far north. And some more grazing. Kind of dried out by the hills. Yeah. Looks like a more in-depth civilization map builder. Yeah, that kind of thing. What will we use this map on? Some kind of D&D campaign. So at the moment I'm running a Dungeons & Dragons campaign over on the Digital Dragons GM channel. So that would be Digital Dragons every Sunday night. And that campaign is currently doing Icewind Dale, but once that one ends, I would like to have this ready basically as a new homebrew. But I, on a week-to-week basis, don't really have time to work on creating homebrew setting, so I want to have as much kind of pre-developed as possible. I don't like these hills. Let's just turn this into just one area of grassland. Back there, which is probably... where some rivers come through, and this shouldn't be as dry as it is. Let's turn those into grassy hills. That can stay forested. river probably comes down here. Maybe through here and up there. Yeah, I think I might add a couple more. I've lost where that was. Maybe further south? North? North. Comes through here. This, I think, is going to be more trees. I'll put some heavier forest out here. Pretty big woodland. All right, so let's go do that. River. So we're going to go shapes, line, preset. Now the top of this, I think, should just be a stream. Better. Coming out to here. Then I think I might actually turn that into a bit of a bigger lake, which feeds this. So we're going to go to terrain, water, turn that into a lake, and then have the river coming back out up to there. On the other end. Something like that. I don't like this curve. These hills are too close. So let's turn these into just heavy woods. And go back to the shapes and then select, U, delete. Line. Actually have you coming out from here. There you go. I prefer that. And then actually this bit should probably be navigable. So we change that into a river, like so. Whoops, don't do that. Cool. And then possibly another river running into this. So the river's going north to south. It's emptying out into here. Would explain why there's a bit more fertile land. So if we go ahead and set up another stream. It's going to come down here, around here. Through this, between the hills, then merge in with that. And we could probably have another estuary coming in from up here. I think I'm going to get rid of you, turn you into hills. We'll turn you into something better later. Nah, probably have it come down here. Let's get rid of that. And also that. And that. We're going to make another stream come in from here, like so, and then we're going to go and upgrade that to a regular old river. From here, just going straight down into that. You know what? I kind of wish that these colours were the same as the ocean. I wonder if that would make the rivers look better. Let's just throw in a quick save. No, you can actually texture it like water. Don't do that. Maybe? Oh, no, don't do that. Ugh, I have to select each bit individually. No, I think I like that the rivers actually stand out a bit more, so we'll just keep it like that. That's fine. Alright, so that's given us a bit of a better idea of how the water table there works. I don't like how this comes randomly out. It should just be more forest, possibly even like heavy forest here in the center. There should definitely be heavy forest in here. Yeah, there we go. So this is definitely less habitable, at least early on. Like, as the simulation goes, I would like most of this area to be inhabited in some way. So I guess that now brings us to this, and I think that's going to be grazing land as well. There's no real reason for it not to be. However, we could bring in grassland following the river. So there's quite a nice area up here. In fact, those could even be farmland. These central bits for sure. And then we're going to go back to grassland for these bits. It's pretty far north, though. No, we're going to turn this into grassland, and then I think this is going to be grazing land. So there's a couple of fertile areas up there. I mean, this is actually looking like it's pretty decent territory. All things considered. And then those hills should really be grassy hills. They're not dry enough. And that one should be just regular hill. Grassy hills. Random mountain. Not really necessary. Then we come over here where we have another large lake. I'm okay with that. I feel like I'm going to get rid of... Oh, my stomach is grumbling like crazy. It's reminding me that I haven't eaten for many, many hours. Oh, it's really reminding me that I've not eaten for many hours. Let's just get rid of those. Now, I kind of like that there's this lake here, around which it's pretty nice. I'm actually thinking maybe this should be swamp. Oh, that last bit. Yeah, let's turn this into swamps and marsh. Like, if this ever get drained out, it would be a really nice area. Which, again, as we do the simulation, we can change what these tiles are like. Let's make this marshy. And then this bit that comes down further, I think is probably where it does legit start getting nicer. So let's turn that all into grass. And this into grazing back here. Mordred hungers. Mordred does hunger. Realise I wasn't following you here, bud. Was great meeting you. Likewise, great Book of Grudges. Absolutely. Very much looking forward to doing some more of those multiplayer games in the future. Heck yeah. Haven't set up any cave areas, because I probably won't have an Underdark. It was always one of my least favourite. Like, Underdarks would be natural cave passages in mountains. I wouldn't have a full-on layer which is underneath the entire world. Just never sat right with me. I think that this also needs to be a bit more marshy around the top. Then I think, not steppe. Where is it? Grazing land should be there, except probably this bit. Okay, great Book of Grudges. Thank you very much for the follow. HexonX, thank you very much. Inkweaver, thank you. Divlis Hugub, already taken. Thank you very much for the follows. Welcome to the channel. Good to have you joining us. Random lonely mountains are best mountains. Yeah, but there's a lot of random lonely mountains in this world at the moment, which I'm not a huge fan of. And then we're moving a bit more over to this side. So again, we've got this big lake. And I think that... What do I want to do around you? Because we're actually getting pretty close to the far north and also the steppe. I think, honestly, this is going to be evergreen forest. I'm just going to make this into one heavily forested area with the steppe probably extending down this way. So let's go and fill this in, with it going up that way. You know what, this should all be as well. It is looking rather homogeneous, but we'll mess that up a little bit later. Then this can be mixed woods here. Do we have mixed? Mixed. And then we have heavy woods up into this area up here. Going up into the snowy bits. I do definitely feel like that should be reflected in the status of the hills here. Likewise going out to you. And then we probably have a bit more deciduous as we come down this way. Opening up probably into a bit more steppe-like territory. So let's extend the steppe out to here as well. Up to these hills. These hills can kind of be the break. At least in the south. I mean, we could have the steppe continuing in the north. No, we'll have a break there. So we got those regular old hills. Then on this side, I think we'll probably have grazing ground. Acting as the buffer. And we'll just have this area being very, very flat. Until you hit this region. Where it becomes hilly grass. And then this is also still very, very far north, so more grazing land up here. With hilly grass. Going something... Actually, you know what? These hills I think would be a bit higher. So then we do give in to regular hills up there. Coming around here. And we go back to... Actually, those could be forested hills. Like so. Yeah, that's better. And then we still have a bit more to clear up here, which is going to be... Honestly, that bit on the edge could be more steppe. And then I think we're just going to have a wave of deciduous. With some more grazing land. In here in the middle. I don't like these mountains being there. Could even turn this into moors. In fact, I think that makes the most sense. This whole section in the middle is just going to be a bit of a highland area. And then we can have regular hills kind of on the outskirts of this. Before it gets to the low country over there, which is going to be, I think, probably just grazing land. Nothing particularly special, just open space. So again, we have this pass that anyone coming from the north would have had to contend with. And you are going to be grazing land, because there's no real reason for you not to be. Likewise with all of this. And then those hills, I think, should be just grassy hills. Likewise with these bits. Alright, so that's looking a lot more homogeneous now that I would like. Let's bring in a bit of a swamp into there and around here. And that can become more land. Marshland even. Down to here. I think I might even just make this... no. You know what? I'm actually quite happy with that being... It's like higher ground, so maybe that should be more hills kind of sweeping off around there. Mixed hills. Okay, there are still a couple of random pieces lying here, there, and everywhere, which we can easily fill in with step. Get rid of those. That should probably be a forest of some kind. I don't like this. You just have some regular old hills flowing through the middle of this. And then I'm just going to turn the rest of that into step. Like so. So that is a pretty good clear up of this northern area. As we press south into this. Am I still thinking this will be Centaur lands? Yeah, probably. I have no idea what's going to be up there. For the moment, I'll just leave that empty. And then we get down to this bit. Which I think I might just make a bit hillier. Get rid of those bits of desert which I apparently missed out on. Let's make those into grassy hills. And then there's a few more bits there. Now I kind of want to make more of this into moors. Like having those hills there is a nice representation. But I want it to be fairly clear that this is in fact a plateau, with the hills being the area around the edge. And then we have this central mountainous area which is legit higher. Yeah, like that. Looks a bit less random, and I think we could do the same treatment for this. So let's turn you into hills, hills, hills. Let's just bring in moors. Let's turn this into shrubland. Just this little higher area, a bit drier. And this should definitely not be that colour. That should be grazing. as we get a bit closer to the lowlands. And this should all also be grazing. I don't know why that's not. Two random, well, not completely random. It does mix into there. I think I'm actually going to do a thing which I don't usually do. Volcano! Gives us a bit of a landmark here in the middle. I quite like that. I might also get rid of some of these random. Let's go and start foresting this a little bit more densely. And then get rid of you, you, and you. Couple more hills, and then mix it in with a couple more moors on the inside. And we just have an area that's genuinely lowland, coming, like, splitting through the middle. Probably where rivers flow. River would flow through here, then come back out down there, maybe even straight across. Down here, emptying into this. Or down here. I feel like this could probably do with being a bit more swampy. Because I can definitely see a very major river flowing through that. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to create a stream. Which is part of the reason how the Dragonborn got here. So their resupply city is probably like there. Be relatively easy to get through. You know what? I'm going to make a little area of grazing land through here, which is obviously a bit of a pass. Which they then lead to this, and then they'd be able to get to the ocean down there. Then we're going to have the really big river. Coming down into there. Yeah. Well, streams, not necessarily a river. Which is how they live here. It's the water table. So we have streams. Flowing into there. They have something flowing through the center here. Then they have and then from there, I think we're going to bring in a really big river, which is going to go through this. I'm going to get rid of those hills. Turn those into just heavy forest. With some lighter forest around the edges. And then through the center of this heavy forest, which is how this has kind of stayed hidden, is the big old river. Flows through there. Comes straight through this middle of this grassland area. Through to there. And that is not going to be a lake. That is going to be grassland. Although a lot of this should really be grazing land, not grassland. I'm pretty sure I had the wrong thing selected when I did all of this. It's happened a few times. But then legit, as we get down to this, then I think it will be increasing bits of grassland. Yeah, that's a nice big old river. Could definitely make some good borders with that too. Since the ice in the long term can be sunk into by large weights, maybe the ice towards the bottom of the desert oasis contributes to a large aquifer. Maybe. We haven't gotten to that bit yet. I'm thinking that this edge is probably going to be relatively wet as all the water drains out of here. Although maybe this should still be relatively dry as all of the water... Well, water gets dumped in there as well, so it kind of suggests that this northern ridge at the very least would be fairly wet. I don't know. I don't know enough about meteorology for that. I think that's too much grassland there. Let's make this a bit more grazing friendly. Make that more forested. And then grassland can flow up here. Sure. Then, like I said, this is the urban area for the elves, so that would be pretty nice territory. I think we can probably turn these hills, at the very least, into grass hills. I think these should be forested. And then grassy hills can be down there. I could probably even go with green hills for this bit. And then volcano. So this is probably the edge of an active continental crust, which might be why this is fragmenting. Kind of splits up that way. Maybe. I don't know. I don't like that that's so fertile. Let's turn that into grazing in here. I mean, actually, no, you know what? This little bit right in the middle can be grass. Yeah, that's fine. Shouldn't be grassland here, though. Let's make that into grazing. Nice little pass. Then we get down into the desert. Volcanoes from tectonic contact come from continent-ocean boundaries. True. And honestly, they're in the same kind of area as the ripples. Nah, it doesn't make sense that these are volcanoes. That one maybe, that's a hotspot, but these ones... In fact, this could be a hotspot that's just drifting. That does happen. But you're right, these doesn't make sense. What we can do is make them a... Oops, big old mountain. In the middle of each. In fact, no, I think that's just going to be regular mountains. That's lower than this, where it's just a spike. Now, I don't want to get too much into like this. It's fire elemental area. Like that's the kind of detail we can add later. What's this? Why is there random fertile bits? Let's go and turn that into grazing. Okay, I'm pretty happy with what we've done here in the north. So we need to come down to the dwarven extremities. We still need to do this bit, the peninsula bit, and the potential human area, the additional human area. But I think I'm going to do that another time. I'm honestly getting absolutely starving. So I'm going to call this one here. I know it's a little bit early, but you got another extra 40 minutes bonus. So I think that will be good enough. Anyway, that's all for me for now. So thank you everyone for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, be sure to hit that follow button to get notifications when I'm live again in the future. If you've really enjoyed this and you would like to support the channel, then please do check out the Patreon, which you can find at patreon.com/MordredViking. I do have a YouTube channel, which you can find at youtube.com/MordredViking, where the rest of this series is uploaded. And I also have a Discord, which is where the community hangs out. They're a cool bunch, and it's always a pleasure to see some new faces there. So come join us. You'll be more than welcome. I'm going to go and see if there's anybody we could go and raid. I don't think anyone's going to be playing Warhammer right now. Gunther is. Gunther's the only one. That's in German. Huzzah! So instead... I don't know. Who's on? Who should we raid? Showing everyone I'm following at the moment. Fodsy. Let's go raid Fodsy. So head on over there, say hello from Mordred Viking. I'd love to see his channel absolutely lit up by the Viking Raid, which you can do by just copy and pasting Viking Raid, as I will do in just a minute. I'm actually going to do this, because it's a bit annoying that you're seeing everything that I'm seeing. So we've got Viking Raid, that looks like this, and then we've got the Longships, which looks like this.